Welcome to Release Readiness Live. My name is Ayori Selassie, and I'll be your host as we walk through the latest features of the Summer 18 release. Thank you for joining us from wherever you are in the world. I'll be here all this week walking through the features across all the clouds, and today we're focused on Service Cloud. Now, what I love about Release Readiness Live is that no matter what type of trailblazer you are, whether this is your very first release or if you've already started testing out features in your sandbox, this show is perfect for you because our product managers are here to answer all your questions. So where do you go to ask those questions? To answer that, I'd love to welcome our community rock star, Elna Miller.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to day 2, Service Cloud. I can't wait to see what we have today. And I also can't wait to hear your questions and shout outs, which you should please post in Twitter or in the Release Readiness Trailblazers group in the Trailblazer community, especially those meaty questions where you want a response, maybe a link to some resources. Post those in the Trailblazer community and feel free to post those animated GIFs and shout outs on Twitter. We're going to be watching both of those and answer as many questions as we can live. And if we don't get to your question today, we will get to it in the feed that you posted in within the next couple of days. And be sure to tag your questions with the hashtag Salesforce Live. Ayori, back to you.
Thank you, Elna. Now today our product managers are going to be going over features that are also in the roadmap, so you'll get a sneak peek into the future. And because of that, I'd like to remind you that we will be making some forward-looking statements, so please make your purchasing decisions based on what is currently available in the product. All right, also a reminder, we will be posting this recording later so you can rewatch it at any time. And with that, let's meet our product managers.
Hi everyone, my name is Vincent Pham. I'm here to talk to you about awesome Lightning goodness, Lightning Consul, and case management.
Hi everyone, I'm Devra. I am going to be talking about all things knowledge and most importantly to a lot of people probably our Lightning migration tool.
Hi everyone, I'm Kanan. I'm here to talk about a brand new feature that's hashtag only in Lightning called Lightning Guided Engagement.
Hi everyone, my name is Clément. I'm the product manager of Einstein Bots, which will be released that summer release.
Awesome.
Awesome. So before we get started, I want to spend a quick moment just to, on behalf of everyone here, on the behalf of everyone in Service Cloud, to thank you guys, our customers, our partners. You guys are all doing wonderful and awesome things with Service Cloud, and we are very glad that you're on this journey here with us. We extremely value your feedback, so keep them coming. It helps inform our roadmap, our planning, so definitely keep it coming. As mentioned, there's a lot of awesomeness coming with summer. We're going to talk about case management, we're going to talk about knowledge, guided engagement, and Einstein Bots. So for my section, let me just kick it off and talk about areas around our core, around Lightning Service Console and case management. So the way I like to think about the summer release is we bundled in a lot of goodness that we had back in Classic. Listening to feedback, as I mentioned, things that all of our customers and agents have been looking for. Things like case teams we brought in. Things like email notifications. So when you're updating case comments, you can send notifications to the case owner. Things like when you're closing a case, you can update with that last case comment so that you save a couple clicks on the way. In addition to these out-of-the-box offerings, we're also opening a lot of new use cases with our APIs. So in addition to this out-of-the-box goodness, you can actually customize to a new degree with our summer release. So a couple of examples. With the Lightning Consul JavaScript API, right? You can use this now to fire events so that you can refresh tabs, open up new tabs, close new tabs. You can also use, for instance, the Lightning Quick Action JavaScript API. So, one of the features like Devra built out in the last release was our ability to attach a knowledge article in email, right? That's great, and it's available out of the box. But you can also use our Lightning Quick Action JavaScript API to build that on your own. For instance, if you have your own knowledge search component, or something a lot of our customers see is that they might have an external search. So you can use that API to fire up a quick action to do an external search to pull back your results. Also, in addition to these features, we also brought in a lot of love for email. Email got a lot of love. it's a channel that a lot of our customers start off with. And we use this opportunity not to just bring in classic features, but we actually went above and beyond with Autosave, email. Like, how many times have you started typing an email and, oh no, I lost it, right? Never fear. You've got your emails. They're safe. They're there. You can close your browser, come back, and it's still there. You can continue on. We also brought in a lot of other features too, things like default email fields with Apex. So it's a mouthful, I know, but the idea here is like when the case comes in, based on what type of case it is, we can automatically pre-populate the email fields. Maybe you want to add a BCC for your manager. Maybe you want to set the CC a certain way, or maybe you want to just automatically load a template based off of what type of email it is. You can do all that with Apex now. And also, in addition to that, we also made sure that we brought in a lot of usability things, things that we noticed, hey, you could do this, you save a couple clicks, which I'll show in the demo right now. So let me switch over here and just launch into the console. So let me first talk about the quick action with email that I just mentioned. So the use case here is someone sent in an email, where's my apple order? And I'm talking about apples, like quinces, right? The company is Vince's Quinces. So the customer wants to know, hey, where's my apple order? I ordered a batch of apples recently, and I want to know when they're coming. So now, when you open up your email composer, it automatically loads a template based off of the fields here on the case. So right now, it's based off a quince on the fruit. And let's say I received a different email, and let's say it's not about quinces. Let's say they're actually talking about like Fuji apples. So now, if a different case were to come in, when the agent opens up their email and starts to send out an email, I've got a different template dynamically loaded. So you can extend this kind of thinking to your own use cases where instead of having the agent actually go out and manually select the right template, maybe they select the wrong template, it'll automatically load up for them. Another good use case of this could be multi-language call centers, right? Where based off the language on the case, maybe I want to automatically preload it with a specific template. Another good example of this as well could be the priority. So notice that in this email composer right now, it's sending an email out. It's from me. There's no BCC on it. We can set it so that when a case comes in and the priority is high, you can see that there's a BCC of manager@vincesquinces.com. So I hope you get the idea here that it's extremely powerful. And you can extend this so that you can really adhere to processes and actually save a lot of clicks for your agents. So as we're doing all this great stuff here, you'll notice that down in the bottom, there's an autosave component. So as I'm typing content here, if I just do a browser refresh, it's all there, it's saved, and it'll automatically come back. Now, if I'm an agent working on this case, other folks can also work on this case too. And each agent, when they're typing out their own email and their own private draft, it's private to them. So you never fear. You can have multiple agents working on this case, and each person can have their own independent draft. Now, a couple other things I want to also showcase your attention to, specifically around email. We receive some feedback here that sometimes it's kind of painful to use the reply all four buttons in the bottom. So we also added in functionality so that you can select the drop-down here and also hit the reply all for it as well. Other things we can also do on the case outside of email. Let's talk about case teams. So I brought up the use case about multiple agents working on it. Case teams is a really valuable feature, especially when you have multiple parties from different departments all working on the same case. So you might have a scenario where you want to have someone from legal, so maybe a product manager, maybe someone from compliance, all be assembled as a team so that they can all work together on this case. So we brought that into Lightning as well. So when you go over to the details here, I can show that with the case team, right now I've got Kanan, my colleague here, and she's representing legal. But we can also add in other members. So I can add in myself And at the same time, also define what role I'm playing. So I can play a legal role, quality role, product manager role. And these roles will then also define what sort of access I have. What should I have? Private, read, write. And then using case teams, you can also use it for sending out alerts. So when a case gets to a certain status, maybe the status needs review, you can fire out an email alert so that the case team member that's maybe legal or compliance can get an email notification so that they know, okay, I need to work on this case. So, I mean, a lot of good stuff, not just an email, not around case, but I want to also move forward into what's coming in the future. So moving back from the demo back to the slide, moving forward, we're going to continue our investment around macros and quick text. Our customers love it right now, and what we're noticing is that a lot of our customers are starting to get a lot of quick text and macros. So we're going to solve that problem by introducing a notion of foldering, where within the macros, within the quick text, you can use foldering to organize. Also, you can use it to not just organize folders, but also use that as a sharing model, so you can share the macros and quick text as well. And email will also continue to get more love because we're going to convert attachments to Salesforce files. This is something a lot of our customers have been asking for. And once this is enabled, this will allow it so that when an agent looks at an email attachment, they don't have to download that to their desktop to view anymore. They can just see it in the browser. And you also get all the other goodness you get with Salesforce files, like additional sharing rules and permissions. Next one, we'll have copy-paste screenshot. If I got a nickel for each time I was asked this, I'd be a very rich nickel person. And this happens. This is something we'll be working on for the next release. Just simply the ability to take a screenshot and paste it into your email. And moving on from that, we'll also look at putting it into other places too, like templates, like Knowledge, like any place where you have like a rich text editor. We want to bring this functionality in there for you. Also, case feed enhancements. So case feed right now, it's kind of like a monolithic section in the middle. You've got the publisher at the top, and you've got the case feed at the bottom. We're going to make it so that you can split that up, actually, so that you can have maybe just the case feed sit by itself and the quick actions sit at the top, or alternatively, just have it in a compact form factor on the right. So we're trying to make it more flexible so you can use it all over the place. And lastly, just want to spend a quick second on Contact Me. Totally different from case management and Consul, but a really exciting feature we're building out where, who likes to call a 1-800 number today and sit and wait for a phone tree and then, wait music, right? What we're going to develop is a capability where you don't have to wait in a phone tree in the IVR in hold time. We're going to provide the capability so that from a community site or in the future from any website, you can simply just click a call me back button or contact me button, which can then get routed through omni-channel to an agent who can then initiate a callback. So you won't have to wait in the phone tree anymore. Awesome. So lots of good stuff. Back to you guys.
Excellent, excellent. That's great. Great new features, as well as some awesome roadmap. Love to hear what questions you all have. Elna, what do we have out there?
Do have some shout outs and some questions, and I notice a few people are back from yesterday, so welcome back to Powell and Randy, and Nutty Naughty Nerd is with us again today. So Randy, just a quick shout out, quick text folders, really excited about that. It's the small things, also the copy paste images, huge. I also love the automatic email templates, and I personally had a question about that one. Which fields does it use to determine what template, and how many different fields can you actually map to templates?
So the beauty with Apex is your imagination is the limit. So it can look into not just the email, but the case, but it can basically formulate a SQL query. So you can see anything that's related to that case to determine how to load up a template or how to set fields.
Great. So you mentioned Apex. So Nutty Naughty Nerd was wondering, are those dynamic emails and auto-saving, do they require setting them up via Apex, or could an admin do it?
Absolutely not. So the Apex is simply for the preloading of the email. That's all it is. Independent from that is auto-saving. And autosaving is just there. You just need an admin to turn on email drafts. So two separate features, but I just kind of bundled it together for the demo.
So you do need Apex for the auto loading
Yes.
of the templates. Okay.
Yeah. You don't have to use Apex. There's this notion called predefined fields with quick actions, which you can use declaratively as well. So you could do, like, a simple use case would be like, if all my inbound emails needed to preload a certain template, you could use that. Or if for all my emails I want to BCC somebody, you can use that without Apex.
So there are ways to quickly get to email templates as an admin, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So Powell was wondering, can you attach knowledge articles as a PDF to an email in the Lightning console?
Not currently. We are looking at it where what you can currently do right now is, you can attach an email and that goes into the HTML body content, but we're looking at that feature as well. We hear that a lot.
Got it. And what about omnichannel? We didn't. I'm not sure if we're covering that today. So is there anything new with omnichannel that you'd like to share?
Yes. So we have a lot of excitement around omnichannel as well. We're going GA with skills-based routing for non-real-time channels. So what that means is, in addition to our queue-based routing model today, you can use skills. For non-real-time channels, that would be like for cases, for emails. You can use skills for routing. In the future, we'll look at more real-time channels like chat as well. In addition to that, we also are making available the external routing API. So like I said, Summer is all about APIs. And the external routing API is huge, especially for CTI partners or telephony partners. The use case primarily being around agent presence. I want my agent to be able to be online, and I want to be able to route voice calls to them, which typically come from a third-party external provider, or omnichannel work to them, like chat and emails. So with our summer release, with this external routing API, the CTI providers can create a very seamless experience where both of these systems of like CTI voice and omnichannel like Salesforce records work together very, very well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for those questions. Keep them coming because Vince has all the answers. But let's move on to Deborah and let's talk about knowledge.
Great, thank you. Okay, we have so much coming up in the summer release around knowledge. The long anticipated Lightning Knowledge Migration tool is closed beta. So I will explain that. Closed beta it means we're mostly feature complete with it, but we are bringing customers in batches because it is a migration. It's a pretty intensive process, and we want to make sure that everyone has the right, prep information, that everyone's tried it out in their sandbox, and it could lead to, needing some help from support or from engineering. And so we're just kind of doing this in batches, and then we will move people from sandbox to production. So it does require a product manager, namely me, to enable you. So just don't be surprised if you're looking for the migration tool and it's not there by default. I do need to enable that for you. We are also bringing Smart Links in. Smart Links is available now in Lightning. This was something I heard a lot at Dreamforce, so happy to have that in the Lightning tool now. And additionally, you can now manage your translations in Lightning, so no more having to switch back to Classic to manage translations. So you can submit for translation, you can have all of your publishing actions, you can edit them, you can delete a draft, you can publish your translations, you can export and import them right from Lightning Setup. And we have a couple of new components that I'll show in the demo. And then finally, we also have hover on search results. So if you've done a search and you want to see which article is the best match, you can just hover on it and quickly go through them without having to open each record to really read the details. Next, I just want to talk about what's coming soon because we do have a bunch of demo stuff, and I always forget to come back to this part, so I like to do it first. So what's coming up? We have case to data category mapping, which is a really popular feature that we've heard a lot from customers that you're anticipating in Lightning, so it will be coming soon. This is a way for you to map fields in your case to data categories so that it will auto-filter knowledge from the case to make sure it's a good match. We also will be bringing in mass actions. We're bringing in anchors in rich text in our rich text editor, which means we'll be at full parity with our rich text editor in Classic, and then we have more features to come going forward from that. We're also bringing the long-awaited Apex triggers and custom buttons, actions, and links, which I know are very standard in other objects, but in our quest to become much more standard in Lightning, these features are coming very soon in Lightning Knowledge. We'll also be bringing quick text. Vince was talking about quick text. We're bringing quick text to Knowledge. And then we have our App Exchange package for AQI, for any of you who are doing the KCS methodology, Knowledge-Centered Service. And finally, we will be doing an Einstein recommendations pilot, which is very exciting, where we'll be using Einstein to recommend best match articles. So those are the future. Those are not the summer features, but those are what's coming next. So let's switch over to demo, and we will take a look at a couple of things here. So first, we're looking at some draft knowledge articles here. I'm going to open an article up to just show you what translations look like. So for this article, we have, currently when I've opened it, we have this component here. This is your language switcher. And what I'm seeing here is that I can see a draft. Now, the language switcher existed in Spring as well, but you would only see published. So you can now see drafts. You can see now the published, the draft, the default language is marked. And then you can see I have a French draft as well. So I wanted to point out here that I've made a tab, and you can see that all I have is my switcher because I'm on the primary language version of the article. But when I switch over to the French draft, I now have this sidebar where I can see the English version of the article and my French version of my article. So on the left-hand side is always the primary record, but we have this this component where you can see the parent version of the article in the master language side by side. I know in Classic we had this kind of evenly spaced, and we do have a template coming, not in summer, but in the winter release, where you could split your template half and half so you could have it evenly spaced if you want to. But this component, you can see that I only saw that on the French draft, but I didn't see it on the English draft. Okay, so let's look at why that is. So this is Lightning App Builder. And this is where you would set up what components exist on the page. And so you have these two translation components that are on the left-hand side. One is the master article, and one is the translation switcher. And so on the right, this is my record homepage for Knowledge. And on the right-hand bar, this is where I've set up the tab to have translations. I have my language switcher component here. And then I have this component, which is the master, this is translation master article right there. The same as translation master article here. And I've set up a filter, and I like to show this because it's really, really powerful, and you can do this all over in Lightning. This is just one example of where I've used it, but you can set this filter so that it's looking for, is master language equal to false? Because I don't need to see a copy of the master language article on the right-hand side if I'm looking at the master language article, right? That would be weird. So you can just hide it by using this component visibility filter. It's a really easy way to do that. And I use this filter all over when I'm doing demos. I really recommend using it. You can filter based on who a person is. So if you want only certain people to see components, you can filter based on their profile or their role. You can filter based on other criteria in the record. So I just like to show that because...
Lightning.
Pardon me?
Only
in Lightning, for sure. Hashtag only in Lightning. That's absolutely right. I use that feature all the time, so I like to demo it. Okay, so, and then I just wanted to also show one quick item here is that we also have smart links. So this is a smart link to another article, and if I click it, then it will open, it'll open the other article. Now you can see I have the returns and exchanges and how to start a warranty. And the reason that we need that, you might say, well, why don't we just have a URL to another article? But because we have versioning, because we have translations, we want to be able to have those links stay live even as you create new versions. So if we were to create a link right to another version, as that version got archived, then that would be broken for some users who don't have access to archived articles. So the smart link will always take you to the most current version, and you can also set it up to point to the correct language. So if you wanted it, right now I have it pointing to an English article, but you could have in a French draft, you could point to a French version of the article, and it will always stay to the most current version.
That's super.
That's pretty cool.
All right, so I'm going to switch back to slides, and I have one more little demo of our migration tool. I have this in slides because I didn't think we all wanted to sit and watch a migration happen. It's not that, it doesn't take that long, but there would be a few minutes of us, just chit-chatting to each other. So let's say I actually enabled it in your org for this release. I have to do that. Then you would, in setup, have this Lightning migration tool node in setup. And you come to the screen at the bottom, you can see that you have to accept some terms and make sure that you have read the documentation. The documentation is really important. It's a very long document. There's a lot of detail in there to help you successfully do this Lightning knowledge migration. And for anyone who's not aware of what that means, we did change our data model, and we've changed where we store files. The files are not in file fields like they are in Classic. They're in the files object. And so we're migrating we're consolidating article types into one object and using record types instead. And we're moving files from file fields to the files object. So that's what this migration tool does. So you need to read the documentation, accept the terms, and then you can move forward. And so it tells you what article types you have that are going to be consolidated. This is the one screen that you actually do something. The rest of it is pretty much on its own. It's more of a wizard, but in this screen, you have the ability to map fields together. So let's say you have an FAQ and an issue article type, and in both of those, you have a field called question. In a new consolidated object, you probably don't need two question fields. They're probably the same. The only reason you may want to have two is if you really had different field level security or something that is uniquely different about them. But most of the time, something like question could be just one field that's used across two record types. So on this screen, you could map and choose which field you want to make your master field. So let's say I decide FAQ is going to be my master fields. On the issue article type here, I could map the question to the FAQ question. So I hope that makes sense. But essentially, you can consolidate your fields. So you don't have all the fields from all of your article types in the new consolidated object. Moving on from that, we just kind of let you know that we are going to move your files from your file fields to the files object. And then we ask if you're ready, and then you start. And you get a screen about your migration being in progress. You'll need to do a refresh on that, and it may tell you what the progress is on it. And then you come to this screen, and what you find out here is this screen is kind of an intermediate step. So you can see, first of all, if everything migrated successfully. If not, one of those green dots would have been like a yellow warning icon. And you can see if everything looks like it went successfully and you're ready to go on to the next stage. Then this has not switched anything over yet. Your users in your org are still seeing all your Classic articles. We've created the new object, but it's kind of hidden. And so once you move on from this screen to the next step, we're going to actually hide all the Classic stuff, switch on Lightning, and then you're going to have your new consolidated object as the primary object. We do this in case you have a very large org and you kick it off on a Friday night and you want to go home or something like that, that it doesn't just at 2 a.m. switch everybody over to Lightning when you weren't ready. So this is your screen to kind of make sure that you're ready for the switch. Then you say that you want to activate it, and you now have what looks very similar to the previous screen, but this is your final screen. Please note the warning. If you accept after this, you cannot go back. This is an important part of the tool.
The point of no return.
The point of no return. So from here, you would go into Object Manager. You can check that the knowledge object was set up correctly, that it has all the right fields that you wanted. You can, go in and look at actual articles in the new knowledge object and compare them to another org. Maybe you have a sandbox or something, or a production org if you're running this in a sandbox. You can check that to see if everything migrated successfully. And then you either cancel, which it removes the new object and reactivates the old article types, puts everything back to Classic, and you're back to square one. Or you accept, which then deletes your old article types and keeps your new knowledge object. And then that is the point of no return. So, and it says, are you sure? If you want to cancel, you could cancel, or Then if you were canceling, then it would say that your undo is happening. And if you accept, then that's it. That's the final step. So this is our knowledge migration tool. It's hopefully a very easy experience for everyone. There are tips on what to do when you have customizations or custom apex. You need to point those to the new object. So there are steps that you do that we have documented around what you do after the migration is done. How do you prep your users? So I definitely really recommend using that documentation that we have in it. So okay, back to you guys. Let's see what we have for questions.
All right.
Any questions?
Yes. Boy,
Just one or two?
This is a huge release for knowledge. Just so
Yes.
much goodness. I mean, Deborah,
Yeah.
your team has just been on fire.
Thank you.
This is crazy. Daniel says he can't wait for the Lightning Knowledge Converter and the smart linking. He's really excited about that, keeping that versioning accurate. So thank you for that. Couple of questions. The first one from Jason. When you attach an article to a case, it is generally stays in that version and doesn't change to the latest version when one is created. And that's what happens in Classic. Is that going to be different in Lightning Knowledge, or does that work differently in Lightning Knowledge?
We do that purposely, and we do that because usually your case is a point-in-time record, and so we usually want to have the version of the article that you actually communicated with your customer attached to it, so that way you would know, if you went back in history, you would know what was actually communicated to them at the time. We've talked about building an action for you to update. So in case maybe you have a case that's going on for a long time and you've linked an article and then the case hasn't closed, but it's still a relevant article and you want to update it to the latest version, that you could kind of quickly do that from the related article components. So maybe we'll add an action there at some point in the future. But typically we want to keep it attached to the version that you actually used on that case for your actual case history.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because you want to know what information did you give them at the time. Although I do like the idea of maybe having some kind of an alert that says, hey, you sent this customer this version of the article, there's new information. Maybe you want to send them another note, say, hey, here's an updated article, something like that might be useful. And Jason, if you have any other use cases, just post those in the Trailblazer community, and we can take a look at it. Powell is asking about the migration tool. Does it always add the record type prefix to the field name, or only when there is more than one record type?
So that's a good question. So if you have only one article type, you actually can still use this tool, but it won't create a new object and it won't append the name. All it's going to do is mass assign record types and move your files. And that actually does not have an undo on it, but that's because you're not creating a new object, you're not moving anything other than the files. So you can use it in the scenario of having only one article type, but then it wouldn't append that because we're not creating a new object. You can rename that too. It's just a name in the API, and it's so that you know when you're looking at the new consolidated object, you know where those fields came from. It's really there to help you as an admin to confirm that everything was set up properly. You can always rename that afterwards.
Should our customers be using the knowledge tool if they only have one article type?
They absolutely can, because it's the only way you would mass assign record types to everything, all of your existing articles, including your versions and translations and all of that, and to move your files. Yeah.
Cool.
So.
All right.
Yeah, we have time for one more question.
I got a couple more. So do you have to use the knowledge migration tool? If you want to use Lightning Knowledge, do you need to go through this migration tool, or can you just start from scratch? Or do your own manual migration, perhaps?
So you can start from scratch. That would be a brand new org. You can do that. You can, if you have one article type, you can just enable Lightning Knowledge. You would not have it mass assign your record types for you, and it wouldn't move your files. So you probably would need to use it if you have, maybe you don't have files attached to articles, so then you really wouldn't need it at that point. So the migration tool is absolutely needed if you have multiple article types. And if you want to do the other functions, if you want to move files and if you want to mass assign record types.
Great.
And just remember the data model change, it's a good change, but it is a change that you want to make sure you know exactly what's going to go where, what's going to happen. So that's why, hence the documentation, right? Reading it ahead of time.
One more tip about that, I highly recommend that everybody spin up a trial org. You can go and spin up a trial org and try it out. Try out Lightning. I mean, try out Lightning Consul. Try out Lightning Knowledge. You can. We have a pre-configured org. You can. It's got sample data in it. You can spin that up and try it and make sure you know what the features are so that you're aware before you start doing a migration. That way you're very aware of what features we have, all the new stuff that's Lightning only. So I definitely recommend doing that.
Great tip. Yeah, a lot of people are excited about this tool and they want to know, can they participate? So what are their requirements? Who can participate and request to get access to that?
So they can go to your account manager, your success manager, and through them they will nominate you. It's sort of like how we do a pilot, and we're just moving people through in batches. We also have a services accelerator coming up in June. So for any of you that have accelerator points and you want to use those, the accelerator team is almost done with their Lightning Knowledge Migration and accelerator, and they'll be able to help people through it that way as well.
And if you have Premier Success, then you have access to Accelerator. So
great. All right. So that was awesome, Deborah. Thank you so much. Let's move on to Kanan and talk about what you've got.
All right, awesome. So lots of great stuff, case management knowledge, and I am here to carry forward our #only Lightning story in Service Cloud with a brand new feature called Lightning Guided Engagement. Before we go into the specifics of the feature, because this is a new thing, I want to level set everyone on what guided engagement means. So typically, and why we started this journey. So here's why. So service organizations are facing an engagement dilemma. What that means is you've got companies that want their agents to stay on track and follow trusted processes, to reduce time, to make sure that there's consistent problem solving. But agents want to provide delightful experiences to the customers. They want to provide engaging experiences to the customers. And so, to converge these diverging sort of problems, that is having delightful experiences or having agents provide delightful experiences, yet at the same time following trusted processes, we've introduced a brand new feature called Lightning Guided Engagement with Summer 18. So that's the premise of why the feature was introduced. This feature allows agents or guides agents through customer process steps. It's a step-by-step process that they can use to resolve customer cases, saving them time, boosting agent productivity, and also ensuring consistency while solving problems. And the way we were doing this is that with Lightning, we've introduced a brand new component called the Guided Action List. I'm going to go through the setup and the demo to show you how all of this comes together, but here's the key highlights of what the Guided Action List can do for you. One, admins can set up a prescribed set of steps, a menu that agents can work off of for every case, contact any of these objects. Then agents can track or monitor the history of the actions that they've taken right there in the action list component. And then thirdly, you can also have admins auto-launch an action based on channels. A good example of this would be, let's say in Service Cloud, we have the concept of channel. So a channel could be email. It's the way your customers engage with you. It could be email, phone, chat, live message, etc. And as, let's say, for every unknown caller, every open CTI call, I can auto-launch an unknown caller flow that has the agents, guides them through, take down their phone number, take down their first name, last name, before you start working on the case. So we've got, with this component, you can do all of these things. With that, I'm actually going to jump into a demo, and it's an end-to-end demo that I want to take you through how, from an end user, you can go into the console and then take you through the admin experience. So let's switch over to our demo. There's 3 profiles that I'm going to be going through, the 3 personas. The first one is an end user. He's a customer of this fictitious bank we have at Salesforce called Bright Financials. We also have the agent who's sitting at the Bright Bank contact center, and then we'll go through the admin profile, how he set this all up. So let's say I'm Courtney Williams. I applied for a credit card at this Bright Financials, but I realized I already had a pre-existing credit card that I want to close out. It doesn't give me too many points. It's just too much hassle to maintain 2 credit cards. So instead of going to the bank, I decide to chat with an agent. This is our Snap-ins chat that's embedded onto this website. So I'm going to type in my first name. Let me make sure that I type correctly. Courtney Williams. Type in an email. Note that this form is completely customizable. And for subject, I'm going to say, need help closing old credit card, right? I'm done. I cross-verify, hit start chat. Now, as I'm waiting in the queue, let's go over to the agent side and see what happens on the agent side. So imagine this is an agent working on cases, and he sees the chat request come through in Omni, accepts the chat request, and is taken to a brand new chat transcript. As you'll see on the page, I've got case details, I've got the contact that pulls up because Courtney has interacted with the brand before. But all of this already exists, and I want to draw your attention to this component that sits on the top left. It's called the guided action list component that I was talking about. Now note how admin has already configured 2 actions that agents can take, the unknown caller or the credit card offer. But let's say in this case, the agent notices the subject was really need help closing old credit card, and he can go and add new actions to this action list using the add button. What opens up is an action picker. This shows you all the existing other actions an agent can take. Now, while I'm generalizing actions, and that is on our roadmap, what we support in the summer 18 release is really Lightning flows or screen-based flows that agents can use and embed in this action list. So I know a closed credit card is close to what will help me resolve this case. Note how, again, visually, I can see how many steps I need to take before I can resolve this case. In this case, there are 4 screens I need to go through before I can resolve this case. So I'm going to tell Courtney, Shirley can help you close credit card, right? I go back onto my flow. This is a very simple flow. You can build flows using the flow builder. I'm going to say, what have you been serviced by Bright Global? What is the reason for closing this card? Let's say hard to manage multiple cards. In a flow, you can also embed call scripts or chat transcript or chat scripts. So I could just copy paste this script and embed that into my chat if I needed to. So this is all small things that is providing guidance to your agents. And as the agent is navigating and going through the flow, we update the completion or the progress history in the component itself. So let's just quickly go through this flow. Let's say I need to schedule a call after a credit card's been closed so that the customer can fully verify that this was initiated by myself and I need to know this. One of the other things that jumps out is disclosures. So in this context, let's say Courtney Williams lives in Massachusetts, and Massachusetts requires you to read out a disclosure to the customer before you can close their credit card. And this is needed a lot in the financial or any regulatory industry like insurance, finance, healthcare. So I could link from a flow to a knowledge article or to any URL outside of the org using local actions. I've just linked this using link to S object. Read this out to the customer, hit next, and my order has been processed and my credit card's been closed. Now I hit finish, and this whole flow was done. We record that it's been completed in the action list. So just to recap what the action list does, it provides guidance to the agent, tells them here's a prescribed set of menus. If those don't work for you, you can quickly search for them in this add action list, action picker. And then all the flows get added as subtabs because in a console and Lightning console, we want everything to be linked to the parent. The parent in this context is a chat transcript. Let's go behind the scenes and see what happens. How did we build this? How would an admin set it up for an agent? So today we support this action list on 12 objects. These 12 objects are all the big Salesforce objects like cases, transcripts, contacts, accounts, leads, opportunities. and custom objects as well. So we've started off with 12. If you want more, let me know. We'll make sure it's just enabling. It's just a whitelist. We just need to whitelist them. You drag and drop this action list component on the record homepage. And to predefine some of these actions, all you have to do is go to channel settings, hit edit. Here are my channels that we've enabled so far. We've enabled phone and we've enabled chat. Everything else goes into the other bucket for Summer 18. Here's all of the screen flows that are available in my org. Like I said, we're going to enable other actions like quick actions and macros in the future, but today we started off with screen flows. Now let's say I have a few actions that are always necessary, somewhat always need to be there in the action list when the agent sees it. Unknown caller verification, credit card offers, these are some of the common actions most agents use. You could pin them in the stop pinned region. That means agents can't remove them from the list. There's also other flows you could build that you can put to the bottom, like wrap up, send out surveys, close case, and emails. Like everything you would do in a wrap up scenario, you could pin them to the bottom. But this is just a very declarative way. I mean, everything in Lightning is first declarative. It's easy in the setup. But if you are a very heavy platform user and your business processes are very intricate and complex, you can obviously go to the process builder, go through Apex, and build out these record actions as well. Just a quick note on what record action is. So this guided action list that you saw here is an association between the record, the parent record, and the associated action. And it's built over a junction BPO, junction object called record action. And you can create that record action object in this process builder. So I already have a semi-created process. Process builders are super powerful because they're event-based, criteria-based. You can write a criteria like every time a new case is created, I add an action. Let's say my action type is create a record. And for the record type, it would be record action. And I can associate the flow. In this case, these are my flows in the org to the parent record. And this could be a field reference to the case that got created. So this is a little bit more dynamic. It's not static. Channel settings tend to be a little bit more static. If you want to become more dynamic, you could use the process builder or go directly to Apex and do this.
But this is really awesome. This makes it so that your action list component can be really customized, specific to not just the channel, but other details more specific than the channel.
Let's say you're using platform events in your org. There's a platform event that comes in on a case. You want to update it and you want to associate a flow. Every time an order gets processed, I want to associate a flow, like a checkout flow to this case. I would just go to process builder, say, once order kicks in, create this association. Once the agent's working on it, the action list gets auto-updated with that flow. So it's pretty powerful if you go down to the process builder level.
Very cool.
All right, with that, I'm at the end of my demo. I will switch back to the slides and go into what I call this 3 steps to success for guided engagement. This is just a visual representation to recap what we just went through. So your step number 1 is you build out your Lightning flow. When we expand to other actions, quick action macros, hopefully you already have those. But step 1, build out your screen flows. Step 2, you associate those flows to your records using channel settings, the process builder, Apex, or action picker. And then you launch them into your Lightning console. It could be, we get this asked a lot. We build this primarily for a service use case, but it's available even in Sales Console. It's available for platform users. It's a generic component that can be embedded in any console app. All right, and there's there's a really good developer guide that you should go through for other technical details. And with that, I will jump into our roadmap, what we've delivered so far and what are we coming through. We've delivered, obviously, the guided action list, the auto screen pop for OpenCTI and Live Agent Chat. We've also got channel-specific flows that you can add. So for for chat and phone, you can add specific flows, pin them, and then showing flow stages or the completion of flow history in the component. What's coming soon is this concept of guided action timeline. We're still working on what the UI labels should be, but imagine once you complete a flow, or in fact, once any action gets completed in Salesforce, it's done. Like it updates a bunch of fields, but it's gone. So we want to build a component that tracks all of the actions that were taken on a case. So let's say I ran a verification identity flow, then I ran the order new checks flow, then I ran the closed credit card account, then something else ran. We want to track the status, the flows that were completed, the user who ran that on a record, so that as a case supervisor or even other agents can see when they open up a record, here's all the things that happened and here's what I need to do next.
That's so important.
Yeah, that is so important because especially in regulatory industries, I kind of emphasize the importance of like tracking and compliance. The next thing we're doing is restricting flows in the action picker. You saw that the agent could actually see a list of all the screen flows in the org. We want to give admins a way to sort of restrict them because, you know, it's great, it's a great capability, but then we also want to make sure that right agents have access to the right flows. And then managing or making actions or adding action attributes. So this is something, I don't know, it's achieved in a lot of ways in Salesforce, but let's say you always want agents to, you want to mandate that this agent or all agents working on a case mandatorily go through this flow before they start working on a case. So unknown caller verification, identity verification are the sort of flows that you always want to make mandatory before they launch into it. So we want to have attributes that admins can define in the setup that say, here's the screen flow I want, but then I also want to make it mandatory so that every time an agent works on it, they actually go through this flow. It's just for compliance, again, in the regulatory industries. And then support for other actions, like I mentioned, quick actions, macros, and then maybe other custom actions. Cool. With
Awesome.
that,
Great. Let's take some questions in. That's some amazing features.
All right, this is really amazing, and I'm sure a lot of folks out there are going to want to learn more about this feature, so talk to us in the community. We can provide you with more detail. Maybe we'll have some more webinars on this later, hint, hint. But yeah, definitely keep the conversation going. So Daniel's saying guided actions to force a defined process and get good data. He just says there's so many use cases, really happy about that. Yeah. And I love the whole concept of guided engagement. And as I recall, I believe that was kind of the original use case for Flow. So what I'm wondering is, like, if you were to build this in Flow before Summer 18, how is it now easier to build this, guided flow for agents? There's a little bit of confusion over, are the items in the component actually flows or are they actions, and what are they actually built
So
out
they are flows. So what we've done is we've built a layer on top of flows or actions. So flows, macros, quick action, they're all your actions that live on the platform. But to integrate that into Consul is not really, we want to not just drag and drop them on a flow component, but we want to provide more guidance. Like today, you can't mark a flow as mandatory. You can't mark a flow as pinned. We want to sort of up-level that to a component that just makes it easier to navigate flows, to mark them as mandatory, to mark them as completed, to see the flow audit history or to see the action audit history. So we're sort of taking that, creating a layer on top of it, packaging it nicely into a component and then delivering that in Consul.
That's super exciting.
Yeah, because if you had to do all of this for flow and then do it for quick action and do it for macros, we're taking all of that and wrapping it up into our component.
Yeah, and clearly with the process builder, there's still obviously value in the logic process of delivering them as well.
So you have to create your flows, but once you've created your flows, you just need to drag and drop the component, and all of this you get for free.
Great. So we're going to pause on that one, and we're going to move over to Clement, because he's got some bots to talk about.
Absolutely. So the team is very excited about this product because it's the first AI product delivered on top of Service Cloud. So it was a big contribution from multiple teams within Service Cloud, and we're all very excited about it. But to give you some context, a couple of months, or I would say 6 months back, when we kicked off that initiative, we wanted to try multiple bots on the market to get a sense of what should a bot do and not do. And so we identified some success factors that will lead you to a successful bot that will provide a good customer experience to your customers. And so the first one is to have transparency. Don't pretend to be a human with a bot, otherwise the expectation on the customer side will be too high. The second thing, which is very true to Salesforce, is to establish early value. We have a lot of context within Salesforce. With snap-ins, you can see what the customer is looking at on the website or the mobile app. But also with the CRM, you have a lot of information about the customer, past cases, orders. All this information is very precious to offer a personalized experience. The third thing is to set expectation. Clearly state what the bot can do and cannot do, also so the customers know how to interact with it. And the last one, which is the most important one, is to fail-safe. There will be some topics that the bot is not trained on, or there will be sometimes the bot will be confused with what the customer is asking for. And in that scenario, you want to fail-safe. You want a human in the loop to fulfill the customer request and not put at risk the customer satisfaction. So if you follow the 4 success factors here, you will likely build a good bot. But guess what? With the product we have, we are guiding you to achieve those success factors. This is really what we wanted to do. So Einstein Bots is a bot for customer service, and that will impact your contact centers in multiple ways. The first one is, of course, deflection. That will automatically resolve your top customer issues. The second thing, which is very important as well, is the bot can ask questions, can collect information, and qualify the request. So that paired with Omni and Live Agent, actually, you can identify the skills necessary to solve the customer problem, and you can route it accordingly. So that will impact generally the handling time on the agent side because multiple things have been done already before the transfer. The third thing we have is it's easily connected to your business processes. So in Salesforce, you may have some rules in place for case management, lead management, integration to other systems, and that is baked in the platform, that's baked in the bot framework. And lastly, you can quickly train, deploy, and learn from usage using this framework because, again, it's very tied to agents, it's tied to your experts here. And we created a very simple declarative builder to guide you in that process. Okay, so let's jump into a quick demo. So I'm glad actually that Canan already demoed Omnichannel. I'm going to do a demo on top of that. So in the summer release, if you have Live Agent in your org, you will get access to this new bot setup. And as of today, the bot can be deployed on any Live Agent deployment that you already have. So in a very simple way, you can define a process and deploy that to an existing Live Agent deployment that you have. And then you can create one or multiple bots within your organization. So if you have multiple business units, multiple countries involved, you can actually have one specific for each of them. So you can do some testing and see how customers react to it. So the bot I have created here is a bot for a car dealership. Okay, so it's a very simple use case. When you open the bot, you have access to an overview where you can see some basic information about it. But what I want to show you today is the dialog tab where you can define the topics. On the left-hand side, all the topics you want the bot to address, you can create them and then define all the different actions the bot will take. So an action can be messaging back to the customer with some information, but that can be also asking questions, doing transaction in Salesforce or in other systems. So all that is defined in a very simple and I would say elegant UI, and it's not because it's my product on the right-hand side. But let's have a look on a very simple use case here. So from the preview, you can use the Snap-ins product to test it, okay? And here, instead of being connected to a human, Einstein Bots is taking the lead. And as you can see, Einstein Bots is establishing early value by prompting things that are the most important for me as a customer. And you can personalize that. So depending on who you talk to, you can display different menus and so on. So here's the bot say, hi, I'm the Einstein dealership bot. Here are some things I can do for you. So you can either provide a guided experience where the customer is going to select those menus and navigate in your tree, or you can train the bot to understand specific topics. So here, for example, the number one topic for this car dealership is to identify the store locations. So here, Einstein Bots can actually pull some context, actually where I'm located, and display the nearby stores. So I can see there is one close by here, one in Berkeley, or one in Palo Alto. Ooh. Okay, so that's how you provide a contextual experience. So I can go back to the main menu, and another thing that we can do is, of course, you can expose some very simple FAQs, Q&A, but Einstein Bot can do better than that. So I can look up my appointments, and so here I have a bunch of appointments, but first I need to enter my license plate number, which is a way to identify me. So of course you can put in place the authentication service you want. It can be SMS based, can be based on your Salesforce community session and so on. But so here it's just based on my plate. And then you can actually display as a list of menus or buttons some information in Salesforce or outside Salesforce. So here I created a custom object named appointment in Salesforce, and I can simply list them. And by clicking on it, then I can display some basic information like different fields that you have in Salesforce. What is the name, what is the date, what is the car make, and so on. So that's very, very simple to do. But what is more interesting is if you want to go beyond a guided experience, if you want to cover more topics, you can train the bot to understand something quite sophisticated. So here, let's imagine I want to make a new appointment. And sometimes customers can actually type a lot of information in one sentence. So here someone can say, someone crashed my car, and then simply say, I want a repair appointment for my Tesla as soon as possible, maybe tomorrow at 8 a.m. Okay, so there is a bunch of information in that sentence. And then not only Einstein Bots can understand that these customers want a repair appointment, but then can ask the missing information to complete it. So here, I'm gonna say my name is Clément Ducio, and this keyboard is very hard to type on.
Okay.
And then Einstein can also extract specific entities like names, location, date, times, and so on. And as you can see here, Einstein Bots summarize what I wanted to do. Okay, I'm ready to schedule a repair appointment for your Tesla with license plate L12345. And it's something that Einstein Bot remember from my previous request, of course. And the date is on May 31st, 8 a.m. Would you like to continue? Yes. And then you can have a step in your bot process that will actually complete the transaction. So then you can close the loop and you have, instant service provided to your customers without human intervention. But the most important part, like let's imagine actually this customer have a follow-up question or is still confused or something. This is where you need to have a way to seamlessly hand off to an agent. So here, the customer can say, I still need help. I want to talk to someone. And then here, Einstein Bot should be able to understand what that means. And as you can see, I'm getting transferred to a live agent in Omni here. And so this is where bots can be a very good combination with agents, because all the information that was gathered is of course available in the same transcript, okay, not separate in the same one. So an agent can easily and quickly scan what happened before. But then you can also generate some records on the right-hand side, like the contact, the case, potentially an appointment, and that can be set in the context to the agent, so the agent doesn't have to repeat those questions.
Awesome. That's amazing.
Great.
This is scary good.
Wow. It's amazingly good. So we went from guiding agents, now we're guiding our customers with Einstein Bots.
Exactly, automating and assisting the agent.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So we're going to go back to the slides now. And the next thing I wanted to show you is how we think about this product and where we're going to invest. This product is available in the summer release for live agents, so you have to use our chat solution for now. But we support snap-ins, the all live agent client, we support the live agent routing, and we support the omnichannel routing. And if you're using Classic today, that works as well. So it's not only in Lightning. So the experience is way better in Lightning, but we also support Classic for that. But then the next step for this product is to not only work with live agent, but to work with any channel. So with Live Message, another product within Service Cloud, you can actually provide service through SMS, Facebook Messenger, and pretty soon Apple Business Chat and other messaging channels. So the idea here is you want to have the same bot with the same training, the same process across your channels. So you can actually, you don't have to duplicate effort here. And then we have 4 main themes. The first one is easy. We want to make it easy. We have a declarative builder. We're going to add stuff to make it easier and easier release after release. The second theme is integrated to Salesforce data, processes, and external services, so you can have a complete solution that can actually deliver any use case. The third one is, of course, intelligence. Right now, the NLP side of things, the AI part to understand languages, is English only. We're going to extend that to other languages pretty soon. We have a feedback loop getting built right now, so agents, customers, administrators can provide feedback on how the language was understood, so the bot gets smarter time after time. And the last one, I don't know if we have some partners watching us right now, but the solution is fully packageable in the summer release. And what that means is on the App Exchange, or if a system integrator wants to package to deploy things faster, they can do that thanks to the regular metadata API we have in Salesforce.
That's super awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I wanted to cover. Oh no, this one is very important actually. So it's brand new at Salesforce, but what we decided to do is to include some conversation for every customer, so they can actually try it and deploy it for a couple of business units for free. So the way it works is if you have Service Cloud Unlimited Edition, if you have, let's imagine you have 100 Service Cloud Unlimited licenses of Service Cloud, you will get 25 conversations per agent per month for free, which means you will have 2,500 conversations for free per month. If you have Enterprise Edition, will only count based on the Live Agent add-on. So if you have 100 Enterprise Edition and 10 Live Agent add-on, you will get 250 conversations for free per month. If you need to buy additional conversation, you can buy them by 100 for $50. That's the pricing in place. But it doesn't really prevent you to test it, to play with it, even to deploy it to multiple Live Agent deployments, because when we created this pricing, we wanted to actually enable multiple customers without having them buying additional licenses. So that was the idea here.
That's super. So if you have Live Agent today, you can start testing this out in your sandbox as soon as you're upgraded.
Yeah, testing and also deploying, because with the bucket of station you have, you will likely have enough to test it on some of your Live Agent deployments today.
Excellent. All right, let's go to some questions.
All right, this is super exciting. And just imagine how much time the agents can save when they're not spending half their day on password resets, right? And I bet some Salesforce admins would really love this too for their users. So definitely a lot of questions about how to get access to this and what's included. So thank you for that last slide. That was really important. So it sounds like it's like partly a paid add-on, partly you get to get a taste of it, and then if you want to expand the conversations, then that would be an add-on. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And then when you say conversations per month, do you mean that you have 25 times where you get to use it on individual cases, or you have 25 pre-built kind of responses and questions?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. Actually, a conversation is a Live Agent session. So multiple back and forth messages between the bot and the customer or the agent will be contained on one session, which is one conversation. So what that means is, regardless of the number of bots that you create, regardless of the number of Live Agent deployment that you have in place, we'll just basically account the conversation between the bot and the customer. That's it.
Gotcha. Okay. And can you have as many different variations as you want? Like you could build, let's say, 100 different possible conversations, and then whatever gets used
exactly
would be okay.
Absolutely. You got it.
Now you spoke about learning, how the bots could learn how to. Can they learn how to handle maybe more complex cases with maybe more back and forth or more sort of involved conversations where it's asking questions. What
Right.
does the learning actually do?
So yeah, very good question. So the bot is not self-learning. That's very important. And actually, we don't really want that for now because the bot could learn things that are not great. And we have some examples in the past where some bots actually didn't really behave properly. So we didn't want that. So you have full control on the training side. And the way it works is for each of the dialogues that you were seeing on the left-hand side, you can actually give some examples on how your customers may ask for those topics. And so the more examples you enter, the better and the more accurate the bot will be. So in the summer release, you have to actually do that manually. But the plan for this product, the next 2 releases, is to help you actually identify from your past data some good candidates for this training set. So we're going to guide you and to make this process smoother in the future.
Okay. And I'm assuming this works similar to other types of limits where when you go over your limit, you either get a message saying that you've reached your limit and maybe the case gets sent to an agent, or do you just get billed for additional conversations?
Right, no, so you don't really get billed automatically, and we don't really do a hard stop. So don't worry about that. We don't want to affect, your customer service experience. So if you go under, the usage tab in the setup, you can actually see your consumptions of those conversations and how much you can benefit from. So that's actually available there. If you go closer to the limits, you will be notified, but you will not be billed automatically.
So probably your account executive is
Yes.
going to email you and say, maybe you need to increase your limit there. Yeah, so don't worry about it breaking or stop working. Yeah.
Elman, let's spend the next 3 minutes on questions for anyone on the panel.
Okay. Yeah, we have a few that were held over from before. Lauren was asking, this is back to Vincent, is the close case button / page layout on the roadmap for Lightning? Or is that already available?
Close case. So we have the close functionality as a quick action still. So you can go to the close case quick action where you can put like the internal comments. That's available now. We don't have a standard button for it. It's primarily around the quick action right now.
Yeah, so it's basically moved from a button because there were at least certainly not the extensive types of actions in Classic that we had in Lightning. And basically in Classic you had chatter actions, that's about it. But now really actions are replacing a lot of button use cases. A couple people were asking about field service Lightning, so I just want folks to know that we are recording a segment on field service Lightning, and that will be available later this week. Jacinta will be posting that in the community, and it's also going to be on the recordings page, so you'll be able to access that soon. And Julie and a couple other people were asking about the knowledge migration tool and using it to migrate from, let's say, another knowledge platform like Zendesk. Is that possible, or is it really designed for Salesforce Classic to Lightning migration?
Yeah, this tool is just specifically for moving from Classic to Lightning. It's not an import tool. We have a separate ability to import from external systems, but this Lightning knowledge migration tool is very specifically for existing customers using Classic to move to Lightning to adopt the new data model and move their files and use our other import tools for bringing content in from external systems.
So I guess what I would recommend is if you're going to migrate from another platform, definitely migrate to Lightning Knowledge as opposed to Classic. And then Lindy was asking, can you elaborate on the hover on the article search results? Is this when you're searching in the knowledge component, you can hover over it?
Oh, yeah. So I should have demoed that. Sorry about that. It's both. So we actually have had the hover on the Lightning component already. But now if you search in global search and you look at your search results there, or anywhere else where we sort of use that search. So for example, when you're actually in your smart links and if you're searching for an article, you can execute a search and bring up a screen of found results. And so the hover will show up there as well. Not from the type ahead. So if you're typing ahead and you find an article in the type ahead, that's not where you would see it. But if you execute a search either in the smart links or in global search, then you see the search results list. If you just hover over the title of the article, then you would see the full article pop up so that you don't have to open each record individually.
And we have time for one more question.
Well, there are a couple more questions coming in the community. I just want to encourage everybody to keep posting questions later on. Post them in the Trailblazer community, because that's where our product managers will be monitoring the feed. We also share lots of great resources and information there. You'll see some upcoming webinars on Service Cloud. We're hoping to cover some of these features in more depth. So keep talking to us out there and give us your questions, your ideas, your use cases. And I know a lot of folks are ruminating on a lot of these things that we shared today, and there's probably going to be a lot of questions. The guided flow, I can definitely see, more questions on how to set that up and how it's different from things like Path. That was one question, what distinguishes it from Path? Why would you use that as opposed to, the simpler setup, right?
So I would love if you guys could answer that answer that question in the community.
Sure.
And keep it coming, everybody. We are so appreciative that you spent this day with us to go over these new features for Summer 18 and Service Cloud. Thanks again to our product managers for joining and answering all your questions. And I want to remind you that this broadcast has been recorded, so you can rewatch it at any time, share it with your friends, share it with your fellow Trailblazers, and build awesome things. With that, we really love to get your feedback. So please take a moment to take our survey, let us know how we're doing and how we can improve and serve you even better. And in addition, we've put together a nice little trail mix with a bunch of modules on all of the background features that are supporting this release. So check it out and join us tomorrow as we cover the Summer 18 features for the platform. Thanks so much, and see you tomorrow.